Welcome to the deep dive. This week, we're doing a rapid-fire summary of the biggest AI news.
Yeah, we're focusing on three big themes.
Exactly. We've got AI utility, the pretty brutal economics of the industry, and then the threats that come with all this new power.
It feels like we're seeing this massive shift from AI as just a tool, like a co-pilot, to something more.
To an autonomous digital worker. So let's start with Google. They seem to be pushing hard to make AI your own personal research analyst.
They really are. And what's interesting is how they're moving away from just, simple chatbots.
Right?
They've seriously upgraded NotebookLM.
Hmm.
There's a new deep research mode. And it's not just looking things up.
So what does it do?
It plans multi-step web searches on its own and then comes back with a full report grounded in its sources. It's a world away from the fast research mode.
And it can pull from your own documents too, right?
Everything. Google Sheets, Drive URLs, PDFs, Word docs. You can basically build your own structured knowledge base for it. It's the closest thing to having your own research staff.
And if you're not doing deep research, you're probably shopping. And Google's agents are there too.
Of course.
They're rolling out new AI tools in Search and Gemini. The AI mode now uses Google's shopping graph.
Which is massive. I think it's 50 billion product listings.
50 billion! And it creates these shoppable image grids just from you asking a question. But here's where it gets wild. They're testing things like agentic checkout.
Automated price tracking and buying.
And even a let Google call feature to, phone a local store to check if they have something in stock. The agent is literally making phone calls for you.
That level of utility, though, it doesn't come cheap. And that brings us to the economics, specifically the new OpenAI leaks.
The numbers are just staggering.
They are.
I remember seeing that they paid Microsoft something like $865.8 million in the first 9 months of 2025.
Right, but we need to be careful with that number. That's largely for compute access.
Okay, so what's the real cost?
Well, sources are suggesting OpenAI spent about 10 times that, roughly $8.65 billion on inference.
Just on inference. So every time a user runs a query.
Exactly. And if you put that next to Sam Altman's $20 billion annualized revenue target, it strongly suggests their compute costs are outpacing what they're bringing in.
Wow. So it's a capital race, pure and simple.
It really is.
But while they're struggling with these internal costs, you have Andy Konwinski from Databricks warning about a totally different threat.
Yeah, his argument is that the U.S. focus on these closed proprietary models is actually causing them to lose research momentum.
Losing it to who?
To places like China, which are pushing really high-quality open-source models. He mentioned DeepSeek and Qwen. He even called it an existential threat.
Because all the big breakthroughs, like the original Transformer paper, came from open research.
Exactly. Not from walled gardens.
So you've got these huge internal cost pressures and this external threat from open source, and that's forcing some big changes, right? I heard Microsoft is changing its pricing model.
It's a perfect example. Satya Nadella confirmed it. Microsoft is planning to shift its 365 pricing from per user to per agent.
Per agent? That's a fundamental change.
It is. It shows they expect these AI agents to be doing a lot of the work, and that the number of agents will grow even faster than the number of human employees. You're paying for a fleet of digital workers.
Which is exciting, but it immediately makes you think of the risk. And right on cue, we have the news from Anthropic.
Yeah, this is a big one. Pretty alarming.
What happened?
Anthropic says they stopped a huge cyber attack, apparently the first large-scale campaign that was almost entirely AI-driven.
And who was behind it?
It was allegedly a Chinese state-sponsored group. They hijacked Claude code to automate espionage against about 30 different targets: tech, finance, government.
And the AI did most of the work.
Anthropic estimates 80 to 90% of it, generating code, stealing credentials, all of it. It just massively lowers the barrier for these kinds of sophisticated attacks.
That is genuinely scary. Okay, let's end on a more inspiring note. The teen startup, Bindwell.
Yes, this is a great story. It shows what happens when you apply this AI precision to a really old problem.
So what are they doing?
It's two founders, just 18 and 19 years old. They raised $6 million. And they're adapting AI techniques from drug discovery.
For what? Agriculture?
For agriculture.
Yeah.
They're using it to find new pesticide molecules to fight resistance, which destroys something like 40% of global crops every year. It's just brilliant.
So when you put all this together, the economics, the utility, the threats, what's the big picture?
The thing that stands out most is how fast we're moving toward fully autonomous agents. Whether that agent is checking store stock for you, fighting cyber espionage, or being the new way Microsoft prices its software.
And that huge $8.65 billion inference cost is the engine driving it.
It has to be. They have to create incredibly useful agents to justify that kind of spending. That pressure is why Microsoft is now saying, per agent, the autonomous fleet is here.
Which leaves a pretty big question for all of us. If companies are already pricing software per agent, how quickly will we, the users, need to adapt our own work to actually manage a whole fleet of these digital workers? That's the challenge we'll be diving into next time.